We've covered the many grifters over at the Lincoln Project, the Never Trump organization, which wants Republicans to lose. They're campaigning against Republicans all over the country, including Trump, not really on ideological grounds, more on like Stormy Daniels grounds, MSNBC grounds. They've raised millions of dollars, and they've become quite successful MSNBC grifter stars like Rick Wilson, who we've revealed here. But there was an interesting little piece in The Atlantic, which caught my eye. Let's throw that up there on the screen, which is that the Lincoln Project reported in March, spending nearly $1.4 million through March. Almost all of that money went to the group's board members and firms run by them. Now, Ryan, tell me about grifts in super PACs and whether this is a common scheme that they like to run.
Well, there's a ton of opportunity in the way that the money flows to firms. Now, the board members is interesting. Right? Yeah. It's not terribly common that these board members are themselves getting paid by the super PAC. Right. You usually do it as a favor
it's more subtle.
To a friend.
Right. Yeah.
Now, maybe I don't know what the board members are doing for this money. We don't have transparency into that. But so the money flows to the firms, who then subcontract out at a lower level to other firms, who then produce these ads. And so you're spending money and you're getting a product. So it's kosher as far as the FEC is concerned largely. Now, you're supposed to pay what's known as fair market value. And if the FEC had any enforcement capacity, what they would do is they would go through the books, do an audit, and say, okay, what did you pay for this ad? Is there anything that says that this is a fair price that you paid for it? Because if not, you're just buying a boat for a consultant on top of getting back this ad. Now, I think they'd probably be fine, because they could say, look how many views it got on Twitter. Look how great it did. It's these are tremendous ads that are having this huge impact. Whereas if you spend that amount of money, you get a garbage ad that nobody watches. And then you're just back on Facebook raising more money and doing it again.
In a way, their success is actually just even more enabling their grift, because they can justify.
You need it.
They can justify the amount of money that they're paying themselves to their own firms. I mean, what really bothers me, it should bother you too, which is that these are people who look like, I don't agree with them, but they want to take Trump out in November. They're like these MSNBC kind of suburban people, and they're like looking at somebody like Rick Wilson, who's selling them a dream of, we can take down Donald Trump. But one of the best parts of this Atlantic piece is these ads are not designed to convince anybody not to vote, like who was for Trump, to vote against Trump. They're only designed in order to stroke the resistance fantasies, like with Stormy Daniels and all this other stuff. They're basically MSNBC segments cut into an ad in order to make people, in order to make these like donors feel good and be like, yeah, we stuck it to them. Yeah. And I mean, they're just getting rich off of their backs. And like Rick Wilson, as we covered here on the show, Glenn Greenwald's show, he raised something like $64 million in a GoFundMe, or $64,000 in a GoFundMe to produce some documentary version of his book. It hasn't existed. In 2018, he was like, production is going well. We'll have an update for you soon. It's never materialized. 2020. No consequences. I mean, if this was a Republican, let's say it was somebody like Corey Lewandowski, that all these, the New York Times and all these other people would write exposés. Because these people are on the team, doesn't matter. The Lincoln Project launched in the New York Times editorial page. It's a farce. That's so much of what it is.
The best argument you could make for it would be that Trump is so bad at not taking the bait that if you taunt him like a schoolyard bully, that he'll respond and he'll make a fool of himself over several days.
Well, that did happen. Let's be honest. Look, it's true. He should not have been tweeting about this, and of course, as usual, he can't resist it. And he is his own worst enemy when it comes to this regard, and is responsible for many of the millions. But it's important to also parse where are these millions going, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah. And it's interesting that some of the ads have been decent. Some of the ads have been garbage. It's interesting why the Democratic consultant complex can't pull off this same grift. Like it's sitting there, but there's something about the Democratic Party that prevents it from going there, and that really created the opening for these Lincoln Project folks to do this kind of outright mockery approach. Democrats just aren't playful in that way.
Or maybe they're doing
fun.
Maybe they're doing polling showing that like it's not actually worth it in order to do.
Why waste? Yeah, there are plenty of consultants that would love to have more votes. I mean, you can never have too many boats.
That's true. You always need a boat in order to have your cooler on, which says the stars. What was it? The South will rise again, like Rick Wilson did, despite the fact that he now claims he's against the Confederate flag. I mean, I love dunking on these guys just because they don't get it enough. But I mean, the heroization of them has just, I mean, it's really disgusting, really, honestly. I mean, watching these people like Nicole Wallace and others, they bring him on. And what was it whenever he came on CNN and laughed at, quote, Boomer Rubes, who couldn't find Ukraine on a map, despite Rick Wilson wants to like invade Ukraine. That's like his chief antagonism against Trump on that issue. I mean, just the underlying odiousness of so much of what these people believe is never revealed, and it's something that actually does deserve scrutiny. Yeah, and
it reveals this deep insecurity that mainstream Democrats have about themselves and their ability to do anything. They see a Republican trashing another Republican, and that's their complete fantasy. They don't feel like they have standing to like make a lot of these allegations for some reason, and it has to do with their kind of generational trauma they suffered through Reagan and beyond that we've talked about. But it is very revealing to see these Democratic insiders fawning over these people who were responsible for the types of things that Democrats are supposed to deplore, like the Iraq War, like the 2008 financial crisis. All is forgiven because you mentioned Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, because you do the Stormy Daniels thing. It's just amazing. Anyway, we will continue to guys keep you updated on the grift project that is the Lincoln Project, and we will have more Rising for you after this.